If this boat floats, then that's good enough for me.
We probably had one of the most magical moments sailing ever. There was some discussion and a lot of frantic searching online, and in the end, the only option available to us was we would stay with Dreamcatcher, we'd carry on heading north until we reached the island of St. Maarten.
Okay, we're off. Today we have set sail. We are leaving St. Lucia and we're doing our longest sail that we've ever done. We're going all the way up past a whole bunch of islands to get to St. Maarten. It should take us about 40 hours. We left at 4 a.m. this morning. Jake and Stephanie got up and lifted anchor and got us going. And now we're just about to switch over and Ian and I will go on shift for a bit. It's quite rolly already, but hopefully we'll get our sea legs. And yeah, just really excited to get going. How's it going?
Yeah, good. I just took over for Jake, who's been doing the longest shift ever.
These are the seasons I watch him go. Give me a reason, I'll let you know. These are the seasons I watch him go. Give me a reason, I'll let you know. Girl, you're my Jerusalem, my city on a hill. Searching for my heaven in the deepest parts of hell. Well, time wasted, no lies with me. She took me by the hair. Lead me in to your promised land.
So it's now about 2 o'clock in the morning. We are just passing Guadeloupe to our starboard side there. The wind's calmed a little bit, but we're going along fairly well, 6 knots. And yeah, it's just quite a nice night. We've got a tanker or something behind us on the horizon that way, another ship that way, so a couple of lights to keep us company. We've lost the moon somehow, but it's quite dark, can't really see anything. But yeah, so far so good, and we've not had anything too terrifying. The wind has crept up to 30 a couple of times, but it's holding steady just now, so it's nice and peaceful.
Girl, you're my Jerusalem, my city on a hill. Searching for my heaven in the deepest parts of hell. I cannot apologize for things I never felt. Or look inside of an empty mind and tell me if it's real. Cause it goes on and on and on. Days and months, don't wait 10 years. Everything that I ever feared goes on and on and on. Everything that I ever loved always seems to kill, but these are the seasons I watch him go. Give me a reason, I'll let you know. These are the seasons I watch him go. Give me a reason.
En route, we probably had one of the most magical moments sailing ever.
Oh my goodness, it was just incredible.
And we couldn't film it. This is the most annoying thing, but I suppose in some ways that's nice because, you know, you get to experience it more, but
Yeah.
man, okay, if I use the title, Disney Dolphins, that sums this up perfectly.
Oh, absolutely. So we were on a night shift from midnight till 4 a.m.
Right.
And about 2 or 3 in the morning, we were just sailing out west of Dominica, and I was just kind of half sleeping down in the cockpit. Ian was on helm and just heard this almighty splash.
Yeah, so again, this is night passaging. You hear a big loud splash off the side of the boat, and I'm like, what the?
You thought I'd gone overboard.
I was fairly comfortable in the idea that you'd wandered off of sleepwalking or something. But then Brownie's still in the cockpit. So I'm looking around, I'm like, what the? And I hear another splash a bit further forward. And that's when I realized that we'd picked up a pod of dolphins.
So we're just sailing along. These dolphins are just jumping along next to us. So we clip in, go out to have a look. And it's so pitch black. There was no moon. You couldn't see a single thing. So there was no hope we were going to be able to actually see the dolphins that were next to us, but we could hear them there.
And then when you looked closely and let your eyes adjust, you realize that all of the waters around Dominica are really bioluminescent. They've got little plankton that light up. And as the dolphins are swimming through them, you can see a perfect dolphin outline with the tail swimming along beside the boat and jumping and splashing.
It just looked like something out of a Disney Pixar animation.
Straight from
Absolutely
Moana.
did. It was just incredible. And they stayed there for like 20 minutes. So you were on helm, I clipped in and went right up to the front for 10 minutes, and then we swapped over and we just had this perfect silence. and these twinkly, sparkly dolphins jumping along on our bow next to us as we went along.
It was insane. And that was, I think we had 2 different dolphin encounters on our way up, but that one in particular was just absolutely incredible. And so I'm so sorry we didn't manage to catch that on film. Hopefully our flowery description of it is enough.
So we have done it. We arrived into Philipsburg on St. Maarten last night at about 11 o'clock. We just dropped the hook. We all went to sleep for about 8 hours. And then bright and early this morning, we're up. We're just popping around the corner to Simpson Bay where we can check in. But there is no rest for the wicked. Ian and I need to pack up our suitcases and rush over to the airport. We've got a flight in about 6 hours.
So the only way we could get where we needed to be in St. Croix in the USVI, which is another tiny little island, was to go from St. Maarten
To fly all the way over the top of USVI
to Puerto Rico.
and then to fly back again.
So we get through to our accommodation in St. Croix.
At that point, we are still talking with the broker, and he puts us in touch with the guy in St. Croix, the owner's friend who's looking after the boat.
We stayed the night here last night, and this morning is the exciting day where we get to go see the boat. And if this is the right boat for us, then we will organise for the survey to take place.
Okay, this doesn't have to be the perfect boat because the perfect boat doesn't exist.
No.
But if this boat allows us to do the lifestyle that we want to do, then that makes it the right boat.
Too right.
So
yeah.
if this boat floats, then that's good enough for me.
You heard it here first. Yeah, fingers crossed this is going to be the day, and we're going to meet our new home at last.
So we meet him and go and view the boat, and all goes well.
Yeah, and the boat actually, surprisingly, it looks in pretty good condition.
Yeah, it's been heavily chartered, so that it doesn't come with anything. There's kind of nothing on board. It's very, very bland and plain.
Looks like an engine.
But it floats, so it's ticking the box.
Ticking the box. So we kind of back and forth in negotiations. We basically agreed a price by this point. Now, a thing that we may have referred to before is that when you are buying a boat, you agree a price subject to survey. So it's kind of like, yes, we'll buy the boat for exactly this amount, but if anything comes up in survey, we're going to renegotiate that number. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah, so there were no surveyors on St. Croix,
Of course
story
not.
of our life.
Of course not.
So we had to sail the boat up to St. Thomas.
Today's the day that we move the boat. We're just about to meet up with Steve, the delivery skipper. He's going to help us take the boat across from St. Croix to St. Thomas. And that's when the survey is going to start happening. So that's tomorrow's job. But today we just need to rush to meet him over here. And then we'll get out to the boat and get it all set up, and away we go.
We had like this fantastic afternoon sail, really good sea trial for us to be on the boat. And to be honest, that is the fastest I have ever sailed on any boat ever in the world.
Yeah, so we managed to achieve on a 47-foot catamaran 15.8 knots speed over ground. That's from satellites watching us moving across the ground.
Yeah.
So that is ridiculously fast for any boat, but for this size and style of boat, very unusual. There was a couple of points where waves did come splashing through, but they didn't really get us all that wet. And that's about 6 hours sail from St. Croix to St. Thomas. And that's where we placed the boat in a slip.
Yeah, so we got a survey as soon as we got to St. Thomas. We had a surveyor lined up. He came and looked over the whole boat. We'd been through that process before with Frank and Paul. We kind of knew what we were expecting, but unfortunately, there's nowhere in USVI that is big enough to hoist the boat out of the water. And so we could only actually get half the survey done, all of the in-water part. So we couldn't check the hulls, we couldn't check anything under the water at all.
This is where I could get into some hot water, I think. The only surveyor we could find, I think, didn't do quite as detailed a job. There's a few things he definitely missed. The big warning flag should have been when he lifted up one of the gangways pointed to a big aluminium tank and said, "This is your water tank." And I had to correct him and say it was our fuel tank. Either way, we were going to need a survey in order to buy the boat and get insurance. So we knew it had to happen regardless. It wasn't the worst survey. He definitely found a few things we didn't, but it felt again like we were showing him around the boat rather than him showing us.
The nearest place that we could take the boat to then get it hauled was back into BVI, which was still closed with their COVID restrictions at that time.
That's
so
it.
we weren't allowed to enter BVI. And so we came to an arrangement that the seller's broker agreed to hire a skipper to come over in their own boat, collect the boat we were looking at, sail it back across the border into BVI, and then we could get the other half of the survey done there, but without us being present.
Now, thankfully, we had a very good surveyor. The broker basically went, "Oh, shit." So that, to us, was a good sign. So yeah, the boat was picked up, taken across to BVI, to Nanny Key, place we've still never been. It was hauled out, and Bill set about checking all the surfaces we'd never seen under the waterline.
Yeah, so we got the survey back. A few more scary items on it at that point because that was all the structural, integral stuff under the water. So, you know, holes in the boat are never what you want to find.
The other things he found below the waterline we'd never be able to find were, the boat's definitely been grounded a few times. So one of the keels had been worn away a bit and needs repairing. And then the biggest and scariest of them was he reported osmosis, which is kind of like the cancer of boats, I suppose. So this is where water has got through the epoxy barrier that protects the boat from the sea, and it's kind of inside the fabric of the boat.
Yeah, the surveyor had recommended that we could get away with it, with doing nothing for a couple of years before looking at it. So we knew it wasn't an immediate problem, that we would have to keep the boat in BVI to get some work done on it before we could even splash her again. But yeah, it definitely made us go away and think and talk a lot more about our options before we kind of pushed on any further.
Surprise, surprise, in the end we said, you know what, if we can negotiate sufficiently, then we'll still proceed.
Yeah, we really hate the negotiation phase,
Awful.
But we had learned from last time, and we did manage to get a very, very successful negotiation out of it.
There was a few heart-stopping moments in that negotiation. There was one point where we literally woke up one day to an email from the broker saying, "Where do you want me to send your deposit back? The deal's off."
How has this happened to us again? We thought that we were about to send the rest of the money that day and sign on the dotted line.
In recovering that, we don't even talk to the broker. We're talking to his son, who's acting like a playground conduit to get our messages to the broker. We managed to kind of get the deal back on the rails, although it's not quite the deal we'd agreed. So I wouldn't say that we won in this situation, but we won in that we got a home.
We bought a boat!
Yes! In fact,
We bought that boat!
yeah, seriously, that one right there. That's home. That one.
Oh my goodness, it finally happened.
Which
We're
means-
not homeless anymore!